Author Michael Wolff joins us. Michael, thanks for joining. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing very well. So, Michael, what is going on with this? Melania Trump is now threatening to sue Hunter Biden for something that you wrote or reported. And let me just play this because this is on your social media, which has just become, I think it's fascinating what you're doing on social media. But here is a soundbite of you from social media talking about Melania Trump suing Hunter Biden, possibly.
Hunter Biden has received the latest letter from Melania Trump or her lawyers or her husband's lawyers, threatening a $1 billion lawsuit for linking her with Jeffrey Epstein. This follows similar letters to the Daily Beast and to James Carville. This is in part based on remarks that I made about Donald Trump and Melania Trump and Jeffrey Epstein knowing each other. And that is patently true. There are many, many photographs of them together. They shared a circle of acquaintances. They even at the party that Melania Trump describes where she met Donald Trump, that was a party hosted by a modeling agent by the name of Apollo Zampoli, who was known by Trump and by Epstein. And in fact, Epstein was at this party.
Okay, and then you go on to explain more about that. This was a social circle, right? And now Melania, I guess, is upset because Hunter Biden is now saying that she met Donald Trump through Jeffrey Epstein, but not suing you or threatening you to retract anything. So, what is going on here?
Well, I don't know. She's suing pretty much every well, I was going to say publication, but it's not really publication. Podcasts. They could sue me. Why they're not suing me, I don't know. But clearly, the effort is to intimidate anybody who is connecting Epstein and Melania, or for that matter, because Trump has sued the Wall Street Journal, who connected him directly with Epstein. So this is just an intimidation tactic. They're trying to kill this story in any way they can, and this is, I suppose, their way to do it, and it's having some success. People are afraid of these lawsuits, and they're willing to capitulate, it would seem, instead of, although Hunter Biden is not capitulating, playing this to the end and taking depositions from Melania Trump and Donald Trump, which is not something I would imagine they would be eager or willing to participate in.
You bring up a very good point, and you make the same assessment in your social media post where you say, this discovery thing would be very interesting if they actually went through with this. Now, I'm not sure if they're suing or threatening to sue, because Donald Trump has said, as we put up in the Hill headline, that he is willing to let Melania Trump use his lawyers. I guess if it comes to that, I guess basically borrow the lawyers that have been working hard for him. So Hunter Biden has received this letter. And Hunter Biden is saying this about a retraction and an apology here.
In my hand is a legal demand letter addressed to Mr. Hunter Biden from the First Lady of the United States, demanding a retraction of Channel 5's video called Hunter Biden Returns, in which Mr. Biden here makes some speculative comments about the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein, Melania Trump, and Donald Trump.
Okay, well, they knew each other well. They spent an enormous time together. According to his biographer, is that Jeffrey Epstein introduced Melania. That's how Melania and the First Lady and the president met.
Really?
Yeah.
Epstein made the intro.
Yeah, according to Michael Wolff.
Yeah.
And so I only can go by what people are saying, and I don't know.
He didn't make these claims out of nowhere. They come from another journalist named Michael Wolff, who is a biographer that actually spoke to Jeffrey Epstein. But now here we are. And I've got $1 billion document in my hands because Mrs. Trump is seeking $1 billion in damages if we don't take the video down and if Hunter here doesn't issue a formal apology to Mrs. Trump. So now we're here maybe to give you the platform to apologize to the First Lady for your statements that you made about her possible connection to Jeffrey Epstein.
Fuck that. That's not going to happen.
He's not backing down. Is he? Should he be worried?
Well, no, I don't. It would seem to me that that Hunter Biden at this point is probably libel proof. They've gotten all they can probably get out of Hunter, and I think, I mean, hell, who wouldn't chip in $1 or $5 to fund a lawsuit that would make Donald Trump answer questions about Jeffrey Epstein? Hell, that's I mean, to me, this is a crazy strategy. I mean, I guess it's a strategy because they believe the media, which is a beaten dog at this point, will just roll over. But if you don't roll over, and I see no reason certainly why Hunter Biden should roll over for Donald Trump, then this is unsustainable. Putting Donald Trump and Melania Trump under oath to answer questions about their relationship, a very well documented relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
The whole process of discovery, which you talk about as well, it would be interesting. And you just, Donald Trump would perhaps have to be deposed, and that may lead to the uncovering or the revealing of documents that they have been trying to keep private by not releasing the Epstein files. Now, I want to play one more from Hunter Biden. I think he has a very good point here, where he says, if we want to get to the bottom of what's happened, then perhaps Melania Trump has offered them a way to do it. Watch.
This is what he always does. He sues everybody, and he sues them into oblivion, and he makes it so costly. But look, here's what I'm saying to the American people, is if you want to know the origin and the nature of the relationship between Donald Trump, Melania Trump, and which I have no personal knowledge of. I can only go by what has been reported. But if you want to know that nature, then let's all go figure it out together.
Of the connection to them.
I'll be the point of the tip of the spear for you.
What do you think?
Well,
I think you agree with that.
I think it would be the ultimate irony if Hunter Biden, who became one of the foundational issues of two Donald Trump campaigns, 2020 and 2024, if Hunter Biden were the person, the tip of the spear to bring down Donald Trump. That would be irony for you.
Why would Melania Trump be so upset? What is wrong with her meeting Donald Trump through Jeffrey Epstein? And I know that you explain it very well. You say it's not necessarily a direct connection, but they were in the same social circles. They're at the same parties, and they met through their connections, both of their connections to Jeffrey Epstein. I'm correct in that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So then what's so wrong with that if there's nothing to hide and there's nothing in there that is, can harm Donald Trump within the Epstein files? Why is Melania Trump so upset about it?
Well, I can only conclude, because you're absolutely right, but I can only conclude that there is something they want to hide. They don't want people to go there. Obviously the Epstein issue, the Epstein scandal has become a flashpoint for the president at this moment in time. But as I've tried to point out in many places, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were the best of friends, joined at the hip for more than a decade. They pursued women together, girls, and they pursued business deals. Jeffrey Epstein is the window into who Donald Trump really is, where he came from, what kind of person he is.
Does all of this Well, I believe that I can't believe that they consulted with the White House or PR strategists or lawyers who said it was a good idea to send that to Hunter Biden. And that's
Well,
just, I'm not an attorney, because it brings it all back up. And he also takes us places that people hadn't gone before, because he has a very intimate relationship, or at least he's very knowledgeable about what's out there with, Donald Trump, Melania Trump, and Jeffrey Epstein and their connections.
yeah, well, I mean, Donald Trump famously doesn't consult with too many people, if anyone. And I think that he probably he's just enraged about this, and this is an expression of that rage. I do not want people to go to Jeffrey Epstein. I do not want to be associated with Jeffrey Epstein. I can't take the Epstein questions. Therefore, sue.
Michael, I want to ask you, people are always very careful, and I hear people saying, when I see commenters on television, and they say, I don't think Donald Trump did this. I don't think he had any participation in this way. I don't think he did anything that, with someone who was not of legal age. And that could very well be true. But we don't know that because
Well,
we don't see the evidence.
okay, right. No, I don't. But this is what we do know, that Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump were obsessed with models. That was their main focus in their social lives, and in a way in their business, a focus of also of their business lives. Starting modeling agencies, investing in modeling agencies. Donald Trump with his variety of beauty contests, Jeffrey Epstein with Victoria's Secret. This was at a moment in time when models were at the kind of center of the zeitgeist. Supermodels, runway models, catalog models, Eastern European models, or thousands of young girls who just dreamed of being models. This was their pursuit. Now, how old were models? Well, what were they? 14 to 19. They were certainly spanning into age categories that were that would be kind of horrifying.
Look, again, I want to be clear. I'm not saying it happened, but we don't know. You cannot rule that out because they're not releasing the files. They're not being transparent about this situation. I would hope that is not the case.
But what we do know is about Donald Trump's interest in models, in the modeling business, and in women who are models. And we do know that the age of models was often not of girls who would be considered adults.
Then what does this do for Donald Trump's MAGA supporters? Because Donald Trump is out here. I don't know if you saw the latest headline. He's blaming, according to Rolling Stone, he's saying that the Jeffrey Epstein victims and the folks who are accusing him, Trump privately dismissed Epstein victims as Democrats. The president and his administration are struggling to bury the scandal around the handling of the convicted sex offenders case. And now he is saying, well, all of these people are Democrats. Now there are people who are, but go on. I want to know from you, what does this do to his supporters and for the folks who are out there, on microphones in the manosphere or whatever, once supporting Donald Trump, and now they've sort of been left out in the lurch?
Well, I mean, I think it's incredibly confusing. I mean, I can only imagine that many of the MAGA supporters believed Donald Trump for many years by saying he had only the most peripheral relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and that this was really about Bill Clinton. And I mean, that's completely not true. I mean, if Bill Clinton had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, which he did, probably for under under 2 years. Donald Trump had a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, a much closer relationship, which lasted well more than a decade. So, and I think he managed to disguise that or whitewash that, and now it is coming clear. And I think many of the MAGA supporters are confused and perhaps betrayed about this.
Yeah. I wonder if that's spilling over into just the MAGA supporters who don't have platforms and microphones. This is, by the way, I think he's the biggest podcaster in the world. This is Joe Rogan on Epstein and Trump.
The Epstein stuff is so crazy because when Kash Patel was on here and he was like, there's nothing. And I was like, what are you talking?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to say. My thought was, and people are like, why didn't you push back more? My thought was like, I'm just going to put this out there and let the internet do its work because there's nothing I can. The guy's saying there's no tapes, there's no video. That doesn't make any sense. Everyone knows it doesn't make any sense. And then he didn't know about the Michael Baden stuff, the autopsy stuff, where it showed that he had 3 broken bones in his neck, which never happens when you hang yourself. Even when you like leap from somewhere with a rope around your neck and it snaps your neck, you never have 3
and he's
broken
in a prison
bones.
cell. He's not launching himself off the first floor balcony.
The whole thing was nuts. And then he's like, well, we have a film. We're going to release that film. And the film has a fucking minute missing from it.
Yeah.
Like, do you think we're babies? Like, what is this?
Also, you got people, including Dan Bongino, right, making bank for a couple of years talking about how awful it is, and we got to get this shit, and this is a huge conspiracy, and then you release a 2-page memo that says, there's nothing to see here.
Yeah, because you're walking by your bedroom window and you see a little laser.
Yeah,
red laser moving across your chest.
But it really is. It's so look. You know me. I'm not a conspiracy guy by
you
nature.
Are today.
But I am today. Today, I'm fully on board with this shit.
Everybody's in today.
Yeah, no, but they're actually doing right as we speak.
So that's basically this. But he's gone on and discussed, Donald Trump, the hypocrisy that he believes is happening with Donald Trump specifically. Another person, just real quickly, Michael, I wanted to play. This is a comedian, Andrew Schultz. Listen.
Trump is like, hey, the base thinks vaccines are fucked up. RFK, get in there.
January 6th,
vaccine.
They want him out.
They want him out. We're putting him out. And he is rebuking the base. Like, almost like spitting in their face. Like, they are asking for it. He campaigned on it. He puts Bongino and Kash in there, which might be the stupidest thing in the history of the world. Like, why would you put the 2 guys that have nonstop pounded the pavement talking about how we're going to expose this Epstein thing, and the second they get in there, like, you better shut the fuck up.
Yeah, to shut him up.
Go on Rogan, lie. Like, it is a very peculiar thing. It worked in that I think it moved any of the smoke off of Trump, because at least for me, I was like, there's no way that he's involved if he's putting Bongino and Kash in who have campaigned on exposing it. Like, why would you hire those guys or appoint those guys, right? So I'm like, he can't be. But the fact that he will not touch this, and then this last week, him doing the bullshit distractions, dropping the MLK file. Like, who asked for the MLK file?
Yeah.
Who asked for
Okay,
MLK?
and then one more, and I promise, Michael, Candace Owens.
I can't reconcile this Donald Trump with the Trump that we're seeing right now, the Trump that is gaslighting the public right now, the Trump that I voted for across multiple elections. The Epstein scandal is definitely terminal cancer to Trump's MAGA movement. There's no question about that. I actually said to my husband this week, and we were talking about it, that in order for Trump to get out of this is how bad it is, in order for him to actually make the MAGA base forget this, like potentially move on from Jeffrey Epstein, he would essentially have to come right out and repeal income tax in the United States. And then we would be extremely happy. Everyone would be very happy. And then we'd go, actually, thanks, Trump, but we still remember the Epstein scandal. And we want police. That's how bad it is.
So what say you, Michael Wolff?
Well, I think a danger is that one of the ways he might try to appease the MAGA base is throwing in the towel today on Ukraine, but we'll see about that. But one other thing, I can add one thing to that, is that when Steve Bannon met Jeffrey Epstein for the first time, December 2017, and I know this because I was standing there, he put out his hand to Epstein and said, You were the only person I was afraid of during the campaign, the 2016 campaign.
Hmm. Hmm. So what are you saying there, Michael?
I'm saying that that's the issue. That's what Trump is looking at. He knows that Epstein is the person who knew Trump best for many, many years through doing many, many things that Trump, I think, is terrified might become public.
What, look, I know that, but what could be so harmful at this point? We've seen the videos. The
Well,
names have been
I mean, first thing, I mean, let's think this through. Jeffrey Epstein is now accepted as the worst person in the world, maybe ever. And if suddenly we establish that his closest friend in the world for a decade or more was Donald Trump, the president of the United States, that would seem problematic. Plus the fact that they spent all of their time together doing the kinds of things that Epstein has been branded the worst person in the world for doing, and um, and not only those things, but other business things, tax things. These guys were brothers in arms. They were probably each other's closest relationship in life. This is, to say the least, damning for Donald Trump.
Michael, it's fascinating to hear you speak about these things. It's fascinating now that the First Lady, Melania Trump, has now jumped into this fight. I think it only, into this whole Epstein scandal, I think it only serves to add more fuel to the fire. But as of this taping, you have not received a letter threatening a lawsuit or asking for a retraction.
I have not, no.
Michael Wolff, thank you.
Sir.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.